Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It has been 3 months since the fall split of SEL Season 5 concluded, 9 months since we crowned a champion on LAN, and 10 months since I shared a booth with TJ for an SEL regular season match. It feels so good to be back for week 1 of the spring split of Season 5. TJ, I'm feeling good. How about you?
It's so good to have you back, man. I mean, last semester was fun. We had a very nice rotating door of casters that came
Yep.
in and out. But obviously, I kind of enjoyed maybe the little bit of peace and quiet from the chaos that I think both of us bring together. So we got a slight break, but now with LAN on the line, I cannot wait for the spring.
Well, we have our first 2 series of week 1 ready to go. Tier assignment was a chaotic mess. If you want a full breakdown, the VOD of State of the SEL from Tuesday is on my Twitch channel. Me, TJ, and Dylan broke everything we could down there, but we have our tiers, and we're starting off with a Tier 1 match between Florida Southern and Auburn, who are two teams, TJ, that I don't think either of us expected to actually be Tier 1 rosters.
Yeah, I mean, for Florida Southern, it's a different story
They were
because they have
iffy.
a player. We fully expected Astro to be here. It was a matter of could Soj and company actually piece together the defense and the counterattacks that we get to see them a little bit in tier assignment, and they showed more than just up. They showed out and looked really, really good going 5-1. But yes, with Auburn specifically, look, I'm happy for you and all the other Alabama fans that there is Alabama teams more than just the University of Alabama themselves involved. But it's definitely a slight shocker when they did lose to their own B team.
That's true, but the Auburn A and B team right now are very close in skill level. I'm not saying they're both Tier 1 material. We'll find out if Auburn's A team is Tier 1 material, but I'm happy they're here, and I want to see what they can do against a Florida Southern team that the last time I watched them, it was very flat. They played Indiana Tech on Tuesday Night Lights, part of the SEL versus Great Lakes rivalry night, and it was extremely flat. Astro wasn't able to take over the lobby. Indiana Tech was too solid all around for Florida Southern to have really any kind of offensive threat. But they really pulled it together for tier assignment. A win over Bruton Parker Academy is a big notch in the resume already for the Moccasins. And coming into tonight, they are still playing with a chip on their shoulders.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought the Indiana Tech series. I feel like of all the games to compare to, I don't feel like that's a fair comparison. That Indiana Tech roster is not just solid, they might even make a run in Great Lakes. So whenever we eventually have our Mr. Bepic Tuesday Night Lights showcase match between the SEL and Great Lakes, maybe we'll get the run back. But in terms of their job tonight, in terms of going 2-0 and kicking off the season off on a very good foot, this should be a very light way to get warmed up.
Well, it's time to officially kick off the SEL Season 5 Spring Split as Auburn and Florida Southern have taken the pitch for Game 1 of the rest of the spring. The pursuit to land starts now. Let's see who plants the firm foot forward en route to Huntsville. Later in the season, Astro already has a high-flying opportunity that is stopped by the Tigers.
Both times that both of us have watched this team either individually or together, we've talked about the fact that Astro will do his job, and Soj plays a great second man, but the inconsistencies in the second and third man roles in the Florida Southern roster have always been the focus. Now, granted, again, in tier assignment, like you mentioned, they look beautiful on both ends of the field, but we still haven't exactly figured out where does Astro fit into the rotation, and do they have to change based on the day? But so far, Soj with some early confidence.
Playing against Florida Southern is one of maybe the few instances in Collegiate Rocket League where you can get away with playing nameplate Rocket League. Zipper and Soj are very solid, but when they're the ones you are contesting in defense, you have a chance. Astro is as good as they come defensively, and his offense is solid as well. Obviously, he's a bubble player, but he's not the type of bubble player that in Collegiate completely dominates a lobby offensively, and Zipper is scoring the first goal on stream from his defensive half. It's 1-0.
Every college in Alabama, and I'm sorry for saying this, Bepic, I gotta get on you for this. Every college in Alabama loves to be aggressive, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you can't find the balance, you're gonna be caught lacking. All three members of Auburn are up way too far, and this is gonna be part of their tier 1 kind of growing pains, is that they've got to understand how to balance the style out and actually start getting some chances.
To be fair, that was a tight window for Zipper, but he nailed it. Crossbar down and in. And Florida Southern have already taken advantage of Auburn, moving too far forward, but this is a team that is going to develop, I think, as the season gets along. Already making Tier 1 is awesome. And Broco has a chance to actually score over the top of Astro, and the longtime Auburn Rocket League vet will get his Tigers on the board.
Broco has to be one of my favorite stories when it comes to this team. I remember playing him as a freshman, and he was a freshman as well. And he's always been insane. He's always been nuts. He has that sneaky type of mechanical prowess that you just simply don't expect out of anybody in terms of this Auburn roster, who, again, is making their Tier 1 debut, I think, since maybe the very beginning of the SCL or something like that. But either way, Broco, somebody who you have to watch out for, but don't discount Dreskel, and then obviously the newcomer in Peppery, which we haven't really talked about too much.
Yeah, Furball and Dreskel are both players that have come up together in the Auburn system. They were C and D team players a couple of years ago. When Broco was still on the A team, they were making their way up from Auburn White, Auburn Nova. I forget exactly which iterations of those rosters they played on, but they started in the depths of Auburn Rocket League and have earned their spots on the A team. It's been awesome for me to watch, being involved with Auburn Rocket League for as long as I have. And this Auburn team is very different from the Vroco and Bro Turkey and Castle core that we used to have when we were a couple series away from CRL. But these are guys that are passionate about the game, passionate about Auburn Rocket League, and they're representing the Tigers well so far.
I expect them to do nothing but they've got to stop Astro, who takes the full length of the pitch. This is just simply too much room.
That's the type of offense that Astro will kill you on 100% of the time when he's just given some room to make a good read. I said he's not the type to take over a lobby offensively with triple flip resets. Like, you'll see a player like Hammy Crackers when he's trying to carry a team play, and Astro, he will hit those reads on you 100% of the time. Those backboard doubles that maybe at the collegiate level you see players hit 60-70% of the time, but shots like that he's putting on target. Good on Vroco to save that one.
Dreskel will finally get a chance to give Auburn a little more breathing room than they've been kind of graciously given by Astro, but it might not be enough, as that's a great touch to maybe set up Soj, who goes on that backside. It's wide open, and that's the 1-2 connection that Florida Southern has to get ironed out.
And that's clean. Astro created so much space there, got Furball and Vroco out of the way, and poor Dreskel had no boost. Soj easily beats him over the top, and Astro's there for the finishing touch if need be as well. And finally, the Moccasins are starting to break out of defense more and really control this game. They're forcing misses out of an Auburn defense that is shaky at times, and with less than 100 seconds left, they are in full control of Game 1.
Astro, big double as well, and almost finds the read, but now Soj, once again, the 1-2 connection between Astro and Soj has been easily the biggest story of this game so far, giving them a massive 2-goal lead with under 90 to go. Astro will try to make it maybe one more going backboard. He'll fake and bump Dreskel. Zipper is there, blocked by Dreskel, who comes falling off the top bar, and so now here comes Furball, who does get one over to Dreskel, and now Dreskel will look for his teammate, Vroco, hard off the corner. Astro there, way too easy though, so now Soj has plenty of room. Will rip it away, will make Auburn extremely awkward. Astro already beat Vroco as well, but not enough boost to really put too much pressure on. Under a minute to go, but here comes the passing play, and that is the role that Astro can fill, the facilitator.
Great shot by Zipper. Perfect finishing touch for that play, and to trust Astro in that spot makes sense. You know who you're teaming with. Astro dimed Zipper up right there, and that's a play Florida Southern is familiar with. And I don't think we've mentioned it, actually. For those that don't know, this is the debut semester for Florida Southern. They have never played in the SCL before, so this is their debut series on stream, and so far, so good. I mean, tier assignment went quite well for them, going 5-1 overall, and now they are keeping that train rolling. A 4-1 lead here at the end of Game 1 is fairly solid.
They are still definitely no stranger to competition, though, especially with a CEC spot on the line. They are no stranger to high levels of competition. They're no strangers to domination, and they're definitely not strangers to an Astro wide open net until Dreskel comes out of nowhere, showing some SCL chaos. But on that note, a demo opens up the 5th goal.
And now Florida Southern are really running away with this. Auburn's playing awkward defense, and this is where my concerns for them really come from in Tier 1, because they're playing the best offenses in the SCL here in Tier 1, and if you can't look solid against Florida Southern, yes, this is just game 1, but if you're hesitating and if you're positioning yourself awkwardly on your back wall against the Florida Southern offense, you're going to get cooked by some of the better teams in the SEL. So Auburn has to find a way to play defense at a more consistent level, I think, going into game 2.
I mean, even bigger down the road for this Auburn roster is that it's not as so much about handling this series as it is about the fact that we don't even have Florida Southern making it out of their group in that top 4 spot. So if Auburn's struggling and maybe gets swept today, yes, it's early in the season, but it's going to put them in a really tough spot if they want to try and fight for those higher seeds.
I don't know about you. I think Florida Southern definitely is one of the teams in Group 2 that has the best shot of making that top 4 spot. I don't remember exactly what I said. I don't want to sound stupid, but I'm pretty sure they were one of my 3 locks in that group, with BPC and James Madison being the other one, especially after their Tier 1 performance. And if they're putting up 5 goals in the first game against Auburn, I'm still feeling fairly confident about that.
I'm triple checking real quick. Okay, we're actually differing on that opinion.
Okay.
Because I actually do not have them making it out from what I see. So you know what? Who knows? There's still so many new teams who have joined the SCL, like Texas Tech, like UTA, who are also involved in this group. That's who I have giving this Florida Southern roster a hard time. But I will say, both Florida Southern and Texas Tech are the rosters who, out of everybody in the top 16, have improved drastically in such a short amount of time. And so far, Florida Southern showing us they should be contenders heading into Forbidden Temple.
See if they can keep it going, though. My eyes are on Auburn. Obviously, them being my alma mater, to improve here. And already, they're nearly conceding. That's good hairline defense at a dress goal. But Florida Southern have pressure right off kickoff. And Zipper will be able to hold it very well. Leaves that ball alone in the midfield. And Auburn made a meal of stealing that away and have just given Astro an exposed net. That's a tough one.
I was honestly at a loss for words. I was very confused. Verball tried to get the 50, and Driscoll just a little too loose as third man, maybe not too convinced about somebody being behind. Either way, a very, very tough lapse in judgment here to start game 2.
And those are the moments that really make me worry about Auburn. They're continuing into game 2. I said they had to solidify, and so far, the Tigers have not. Florida Southern, all they have to do really is keep applying pressure on Auburn. And if you can get Astro to create you some space in offense, and Soj and Zipper are looking as effective as they have been so far this series, then Auburn's going to have a tough time. You can sit back and wait for mistakes to be made, but Driscoll's creating some space of his own, but can't connect with Vroko in the blue box, and so, red box. And so Florida Southern have themselves a clear.
I have to respect Auburn's confidence, and Vroko is definitely not a stranger to these crazy aggressive challenges. Now, but a bump play as well. No, he actually misses Soj. I'm not sure how Soj is alive, but it may just open up the door for the second Florida Southern goal. And Astro will get his second on what should have been a tie game.
And that bounce doesn't help either. A little bit of copium, but that is a perfect bounce for Astor to narrowly beat Peppery Furball back to the Auburn goal line. But Florida Southern, they've scored with extended offense already in game 2, and then with a quick transition back into offense after putting up a pretty good defensive stand. And now that ball is off the post, set up for Zipper to potentially clean up, but Vroko beats him back to it. Will stay at 2-0 for now.
Vroko's got space to work with, but Soj, somebody who has definitely found their footing in this Florida Southern rotation, not concerned at all playing on his back foot, but still Auburn in the wings of the blue half. And now it's going to actually be a huge demo from Soj as well. There might be an open net if Astro can fake out one. A bump play will come through, and Soj faking away for the time being, saving their boost. Florida Southern doing a great job at keeping this continued pressure and trying to find some more space, but Auburn finally finds a counter. Astro's got to get a psycho, and will at least actually tap it out instead of finding the psycho, and also finds a dunk, and Auburn, no real chance right here.
Astro bought so much time for Soj and Zipper to collect themselves on the FSC goal line. That is perfect first-man defense, but now Astro's missed a little bit. Bit of a whifty-whifty with Dreskel. Actually, now Dreskel's downfield, but Astro is up early on. He misses contact on that ball. And that's one of those plays I was lauding him for making pretty much 100% of the time in defense early on in this series, but he misses right there, and Auburn have some possession to work with.
They gotta be careful not to give it away, though, because there's a lot of panic going on in the midfield, and now Zipper has a chance to put it middle. It'll be Astro there looking top right. Soj up next. Will find a 50, but it'll beat it to an Auburn player. Dreskel has room, has 20 boost, opts for the fake. A smart play, but a smarter play made by Zipper. Now here comes Astro, backboard. No shot will be found, but Soj on his back foot with 3 Auburn players in front of him. He'll find a way to beat 2.
Use his whole boost tank, but Soj is now in the role of the time buyer. His purchase was successful. Kept Auburn from taking control of the ball again in their offensive zone. Now Astro's been taken out. Vroko headhunting a little bit in his defensive side, but Auburn still has to deal with Astro respawning and dunking Dreskel. Where are the comms?
I mean, that can't happen. Astro literally spawns in and goes in a straight line, straight to Dreskel, and nobody says a word. 2 minutes left. Auburn had some chances, but now it's looking grim.
They put up 3 shots, Auburn have so far in this game. They had 7 in the previous, but FSC are too stout a defense to dig yourself this kind of hole and have to climb out of it against. And with 100 seconds left, time is fully against the Tigers, and Florida Southern, they're cooking right now. They look calm on the field. There are a couple of misses, but Auburn really isn't doing anything to punish them.
Furball, though, might have a shot on net here, but Astro reads it beautifully and actually will find Zipper on the sidewall read. Maybe even a double won't be found, but Astro looks top right. Almost finds it. Vroko awkward spot, but will find a teammate. Soj once again on his back foot. All alone, faked out. Does find the touch, though. Again, the brick wall, the one-man brick wall, I gotta say. As now Astro will finally get some room. He'll find Soj again, but that 50 will actually go back to Astro. It could be a shot on net, but through the chaos, Florida Southern still survive, and a trade comes through. The net is wide open. Zipper flicks towards the net, but Dreskel gives Auburn a slight breather. Astro gives possession away.
Was great from Zipper. Nice recovery save on the goal line of FSC, and then cleared the ball all the way into the offensive zone. And here's Zipper again, full boost tank, looking back to the ball, teeing up Astro for maybe a challenge if he dives in right there. But Vroko had the play read nicely, and Soj is getting crafty in offense. FSC really do look like a triple threat right now.
I mean, with 30 seconds left, there's not a whole lot they got to worry about in terms of threes. Triple threat, 30 seconds, 3-goal lead. It's all pointing in the blue direction so far. I guess on stream, it's actually the red direction. So Florida Southern just have to hold this one down, and they haven't had a problem doing that the entire series. And as I say that, Vroko may find one last chance, but Astro has absolutely no sort of desire for any sort of a close game. Florida Southern will roar out of here with not just an easy Game 2 win, but a shutout here in Game 2. And for Auburn, I don't even know where you pick up the pen to start. How about not letting in a 4th goal, and the post will help you out at least?
Auburn does not look up to the task relative to FSC right now. The Moccasins really look like they're continuing that same form out of tier assignment, because they are playing solid enough against Auburn to really keep the Tigers at arm's reach. And Astro's doing his job in offense. He's creating space. He's unlocking Soj and Zipper. And I think for this team, that's the way it works. Astro unlocks Soj and Zipper, whereas Soj and Zipper, I have seen step up kind of big time in this series. They're the ones that usually have question marks next to their name when you play against a guy like Astro, but they're playing their roles perfectly, and the Moccasins up 8-1 in aggregate across 2 games. That's a recipe for a win.
I am super impressed with what Soj has done so far in both the midfield and the back end. It seems that wherever Astro can't fill in and be mechanically brilliant, Soj can. And if Florida Southern can find this 2-man dynamic, and obviously Zipper's played very consistent as well, they look super dangerous to kind of roll through Game 3 and then actually aim for maybe even the top 3 in this group. Who knows? But for Auburn, it's only the first game of the season. Only 2 games in this series have happened. We've seen crazier upsets. We've seen crazier reverse sweeps. I'm not going to rule them out just yet, but they have got to tighten up.
There was a series a long time ago, first match of the season. It was Auburn versus Florida State. Auburn goes down 2 games to Florida State, and they reverse sweep them to kick off the opening stream of the SEL season with a W in reverse sweeping fashion. And this is a very different league now when we compare it to that season, but Driscoll's got an open opportunity that does fall by the wayside, a little bit off target. I'm not teeing up a reverse sweep bid from Auburn. They have to prove that themselves, but all I'm bringing up is some historical precedent here.
I mean, already in the first 30 seconds, it's been Auburn's game with the offensive pressure. Now they've got Astro backwards, so Furball with some time will actually get a 50 past 1. Astro, though, has a free sidewall, will find the read as well. If there's one thing Auburn talked about in between games 1 and 2 and now this third game, I would imagine it should be all eyes on Astro and at least force Soj to be the one to lead the offense this time and then go from there. But as I say that, Zipper almost finds an angle, looking for that bottom right corner, but it will fall right back to Soj, who is dunked. But look at the boost numbers for Florida Southern. It's all red.
It's looking good. Florida Southern have control of the ball. Soj is an open lane to shoot. And Auburn, they're doing a good job of working from their goal line, but they really can't close down space consistently enough, I think, to limit Astro and force Soj to step up. And I would love to see that happen because I want to see FSC tested here in week 1, but Auburn is so backed up right now. It feels like a matter of time before they concede 90 seconds in, and they got a half clear a second ago, forcing Astro to play the ball backwards. But since then, FSC have just retreated for a moment, refueled, and gotten right back to playing offense, and there's their first.
And that's just Soj playing the role. Second man there for the tap in after a great play from Zipper and also another great wall bounce. Florida Southern more than just confident, but the calculations in their offensive plays dang near perfect.
Need to see Auburn play a better midfield game. FSC, it feels like, are dominating on all fronts right now, and Astro wants a second. Good stop, Peppery Furball. We'll touch that out to Driscoll in the corner, and Zipper pops the ball up, leading to a race. Soj versus Furball that gives Driscoll an open net, I think, to secure, but it's still an Auburn score.
It was a little awkward. I don't think it was in. I think Driscoll did have to touch this, but it was slightly awkward, just barely before touching the post right there. So, hey, for Auburn, you take it. They've had probably their best few looks and their best performance, honestly, in the first 2 minutes of the series in this game. And obviously, you don't really have any options. You do have to win this to stay alive, but so far, all the signs looking good.
Rocco tried to go low with that ball, but he is stuffed by Soj, and so Florida Southern get a half out, but Soj has a little bit of boost to work with now. Has to refuel in the corner, though, and that gives Vroko space after he won the ball clean at the midfield line to set Auburn up with some more offense. A lead here would be nice when it comes to the prospects of extending the series.
Big demo net is going to open up through the smoke, and Vroko opens up a lane for Furball, and Auburn might just be back as we're halfway through.
Still a lot of time here, but they're connecting with their demos. They're hitting clean shots. This is what Auburn looks like if they're going to win games. They're going to beat the teams they need to beat, to be at least a threat in Tier 1. I'm not saying they're going to be a top 4 team in this Group 2, but they can be a threat. And this is a sign of what that threat looks like. But Soj evades a bump right there on his goal line, and Auburn has to try again.
Hey, I'm willing to believe. 2 minutes left. Auburn does look more consistent. They have shut down Astro so far, who's only got 100 points. But as I say that, that's 2 Auburn players who go flying. And now Soj might just find Astro for his first goal of the game. How about no? Zipper will opt to go back. Down 1, trying to make the smartest, the safest possible plays. Driscoll, backboard, falling down to Furball, who will go with the bouncer. Auburn's got a 2-goal lead.
Oh, that's such an Auburn goal right there. Driscoll, I thought maybe you should put that shot on target. I thought the defense was scrambled enough for him to have an opening, and I don't know if he skies that intentionally. And then the cleanup's awkward. It's a bouncer instead of a one-timer because the read's strange, but Auburn makes it work, and they have insurance. With 100 seconds left, Vroko had an open net, and he can't score it, but Auburn have a 2-goal lead. I'll take that.
For their sake, I hope that one open net will not come to hurt them. And as I say that, Vroko will find maybe a redemption shot of some kind. And that's a very dangerous play from Driscoll, but he will be able to open up a lane for Vroko. It's another missed chance. Furball on the net. How about a tap from Vroko? Back to Furball, back to Driscoll. No! Nobody goes, and Driscoll will wait. Will find Vroko in the corner. Astro, no demo as well, but Zipper looks for Soj. Soj for the second goal. No double. Driscoll off the ceiling of his net. Astro hits him in the forehead. Soj right back. Vroko is there. 60 seconds left. One more. It looks like Florida Southern is being delayed, and Auburn have found more than just life. Maybe just a second or a third chance.
It really feels like nothing's changed for me casting an SEL regular season match, being so stressed out. I'll admit there's some bias towards Auburn in this series. The Florida Southern guys know I love them, but I'm rooting for my Tigers here, and this is the most stressful conclusion to Game 3 we could see, even with a 2-goal lead. But here, Vroko had Astro on the ropes a little bit, pinned on his goal line, but Astro still got the job done, evading a demo attempt, and Florida Southern, they could easily make this comeback happen. I know there's 20 seconds left, but they've got the firepower to score a pair in the final 20.
2 go. Net might just open up, but that one's touched away. 15 seconds left. Auburn not taking their foot off the gas at all, and I hope it doesn't bite them because here comes a chance. Vroko's got no boost. Plays a beautiful first touch, a beautiful second touch, and how about this turn? Actually, wait a minute. Okay, there we go. Auburn has won Game 3, and I would even argue confidently in the back half.
Oh, I'll argue against you that it was confidence, but they did win it in the back half. That was good hairline defense throughout the entire game, especially there at the end. It was a lot less play on their goal line when Florida Southern had their late pushes there in Game 3, but Auburn still was so close to conceding a couple of times there. And I mean, the Moccasins even got their second goal on 0 seconds. They were that close to scoring so much that they did deserve a second goal. But it's even shooting with Auburn right there. It shows you how close that game was, despite the 3-1 pretty much final.
Well, I might as well explain my delusion since we disagree. With Auburn, what I'm noticing from a playing perspective is on the defensive line, I'm not seeing as much panicking. I'm not seeing as much double commits. In fact, with Auburn's back against the wall, it seemed like they ditched the playbook and just decided to drive. And if that's the style that's worked for him, which for Furball, especially going 2 for 5 that game, it most definitely has, then who's to say that maybe we don't go to Game 5? Now, granted, it's hard to shut down Astro more than once. I have to sit there and get that point out there. But Vroko was able to step back and let Driscoll and Furball go to work. And if Vroko and Astro can go toe-to-toe, that's the best chance that Auburn's got.
I do see what you mean, saying that they're playing confidently because they're making such good, stops on the goal line, just these, confidence plays where they're all alone, a shot's coming at them, there's one defender, and they make the stop. That makes sense. I suppose the only thing that makes me contradict that is that doesn't make me confident in them. And so I suppose it's a difference in how we view that type of play. But I do see what you're saying, and I will agree that inspires a bit of confidence if Auburn can keep that up, because I don't see Florida Southern being kept out of the net like that for a whole other game. But we'll see what happens on Utopia Coliseum here. 15 seconds in, Auburn's still playing defense, but they're playing it outside the box.
I'm definitely still with you. I am holding maybe a little bit of delusion, but I gotta believe, especially after Auburn did make the run here to Tier 1, beating the odds that I think many had them predicted, and that's what Tier 1 has been all about. So many new teams, so many expectations, so many different aspects of how these teams decide to play against each other. Tier 1 is kind of this really just awesome melting pot of high-level Rocket League, and Auburn, maybe a team that hasn't gotten to experience this higher level in the SEL in a little bit, they are still experienced. Like, Driscoll's been around, like you mentioned, C&D team for a few years, and even though those aren't super high-level games, I still know he's been to LAN. I just got to see him at Volan last year, Vroko as well, and then I don't know anything about Furball. That's where you come in, but in terms of what I know Alabama Rocket League can do, I like the chances.
Ooh,
Furball goes over 3.
Vroko.
A backflip comes out. It's in front of the net, and I'm going to still stick with my point. Give me Auburn still. They look great.
That's fair. I don't know about great still, but they're getting in the face of Florida Southern, and I'll take that. Need to finish some of these chances if they do want to pull off the upset, but Look, this actually was a series played in tier assignment. I just noticed that now, looking at Auburn's head-to-head and how they got here. It was a round 6 series that didn't play much into the final results, considering both these teams made tier 1. But it was a 3-1 for Florida Southern. Auburn Navy lost there, but it was a 3-1. They got that one game before dropping the set. And here it's still looking like that could be the case, especially if Soj gets close to hitting that sort of shot again.
Auburn, though, they're continuing to survive on the back line, and the counterattack is slowly developing if they can get past Soj, who does take out a player, and so does Zipper. Astro's looking for a teammate. That has got to be a touch, and that's a freebie for Florida Southern.
That demo was the perfect wrench in Auburn's plan. Zipper running ahead and forcing Driscoll to be the lone last man and kind of hesitate about whether he should go for that ball in the corner or wait for the ball to come to him right there. That is what you have to do against this Auburn team. You need to make them hesitate because the decision-making is not always there. And in a 1v1, Zipper again bests an Auburn defender, this time with a shot over Rocco's head.
You've got to stop the bleeding. We're already almost halfway through. Auburn has played the start of this game just as well as you could ask for, but you cannot let Florida Southern get going. And I'm glad you did bring up that tier assignment series because I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that maybe that last game was a bigger goal differential. I could be wrong.
Game 4 there was a 4-0 for Florida Southern. Actually, Auburn won game 1, 4-1. And then after that, it was 2-1, 6-1, 4-0. So FSC closed things out quite well. And that seems to be what we're seeing now, as Auburn, again, have themselves a 3-goal hole to dig out of. And it could be 4 if FSC connect on this. Astro, with a flip reset on target, tests Peppery Furball there on the goal line. But he does well, and Vroko follows up nicely.
Rocco does have space, doesn't have a reset, but might just have a dunk. He will find Driscoll, who might find a shot, but it's another great 50. Now the redirect from Astro will free up Zipper. A great touch off the side wall. Looks for more. Doesn't have the reset, though, so Auburn maybe gifted a chance there, as Soj also is disintegrated off the pitch. Astro right back on the net, though. Auburn surviving, but with 2 minutes left, you've got to get out of your own half.
2 minutes, 3 goals. It's possible. The math is there. But you're right, TJ, they do have to get out of their own half and stay out of their own half because they've found clears fairly consistently this game. Field domination isn't completely stacked in Florida Southern's favor, but Auburn has only spent 35% of this game in the offensive zone, and they need to up those numbers here in the final 90, and this is a good chance to, but Astro cuts down that Peppery Furball flick immediately and has put Vroko in an awkward spot defensively, and the test Vroko will pass, but it's not Auburn offense, and that's what they need right now.
Florida Southern very aware of the stakes, very aware of what a nice first game win could do for their season, especially against somebody who they may regard as the lower of Group 2 here in Tier 1. But regardless, they know what they have to do. They're challenging early. They're not taking their foot off the gas at all, as Soj will now beat 2 with a combined 50. And Astro up next may just get free possession. Auburn, a minute left now, has got to stop giving it away. You've got to find something quick.
Oh, and Soj has space now. Vroko's already up, and his third man, that telegraphs a lot about the Auburn defense. Soj usually beats him, and now 45 seconds left. It's still more moccasin offense, and that's a scary sight for the Tigers here. Zipper will easily clean that play up, and while Auburn have breaking free of their defensive shackles, they need 3 goals in quick succession and just missed their best opportunity of Game 4. That might be wraps.
I mean, Furball will try to maybe find Vroko up in the blue half, but Soj, uncontested, will actually dribble it all the way into Driscoll's corner. Looks for the pogo read as well, and now Vroko could have opened up a lane, but with 10 seconds left, I believe it's all just formality. Auburn with a very brief glimpse of hope, but overall, Florida Southern is not here to mess around in the SEL, and it's a very, very nice grand opening.
No repeat reverse sweep for Auburn on debut. Knights of the Spring split of Season 5. Instead, it's the debuters that come out and dominate for the most part. Outside of Game 3, Florida Southern outscored Auburn 11-1 in the games that they won, and that is a serious aggregate across 3 games. But GG's all around. I'm glad to see Auburn get their one game, show what they can look like against potentially top half of tier 1 teams, but it wasn't enough. You need the full series to look like that, and that was not the case for the Auburn. So FSC have themselves a fun first night.
Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for much more at Florida Southern. I mean, I know when me and Shaka did the show before, we joked about the Astro show. It was anything but that. Soj looks beautifully comfortable in the offensive half and did a really good job to, I think, actually maybe even lead in goal scoring or tie in goal scoring. I didn't get that stat down, but I would imagine it's probably pretty close, as Soj was a tap-in merchant, also pulled out a few air dribbles of his own. So a lot to be impressed about, a lot to talk about, and overall a very, very consistent, solidifying start for Florida Southern.
I missed game 1, but across games 2 through 4, Soj scored 4, Astro scored 3. So Soj was the highest scoring player in the lobby games 2 through 4 there. And I'm sure, knowing how game 1 went, that more than likely he kept that pedestal position throughout the series. So that's what FSC looks like when they are playing their style of Rocket League. It's not going to be the Astro show. He's going to be a quiet star, which I think suits him. Soj and Zipper, when they're on point, this Florida Southern College roster is an absolute threat, and I'm excited to watch them in the SCL this season.
Well, they will be getting a pretty nice test, Bepic, because next they go against JMU. And they are going to be playing them in less than 30 minutes. So they get a very, very wide awakening of potentially the bottom 2 or 3 of their group and then the top 2 or 3 of their group. So we'll have to see how they do. I mean, obviously, every single game does count down the stretch. We saw many, many team seasons get very flustered or very messed up in the LCQ based on game differentials. So for Auburn, a win is a win, and you definitely will take what you can get for the time being.
Absolutely. And looking elsewhere, actually, real quick, I had a fun stat that I didn't get to bring up because Auburn never looked good in that series consistently enough. But all time in the SEL, Auburn has a record in groups of 22-21 in series. And now they're at exactly 500, which is strange considering Auburn is one of 5 schools that have competed in every single semester of the SEL up until this point, but they are exactly 500 there.
I mean, that's tech in its own way. Consistency isn't a terrible thing, I guess. I mean, at least you're 500, but I believe that our lovely producer does have the series results, so we can kind of slowly go back over what we just witnessed. And overall, it's about as how it went in tier assignment. A close game here and there, but most of the time it was a 3 to 4 goal diff. Florida Southern in very, very, I would say, full control of that series, and game 3 obviously shown as just a fluke in their eyes.
Yep, and we got the graphic out of the way so we can stop talking about how Auburn did not look good in the 3 games that they lost. What I do want to talk about, though, before we do break, since we have a little bit of extra time, TJ, is results elsewhere. And we'll stay talking about Tier 1 for now. We'll mention Tier 2 on the other side of the break. But Florida and South Carolina have matched up for, I think, the 30th time in the last 6 months. And Florida 3-0 swept the Gamecocks. So those Gators are looking good right now. And then Cumberland 3-1 George Mason Academy. George Mason Academy took a game off of Cumberland. Let me see what the games looked like. Okay, overall, 3-1 in game 1 for Cumberland, 2-1 in game 2 for Cumberland. Then game 3 is a 4-3 win for the Patriots of GMU Academy. And then Cumberland handled things in game 4, won by 3 goals. But that's a bit of a story. George Mason Academy getting a game there off of Cumberland.
I mean, we were joking the Academy team is better than the main team because they made Tier 1.
Maybe.
If they can get a game off of Cumberland, we might be playing that a little too seriously here. And granted, I'm sure there's going to be so many other results to talk about on the other side of things. Funny enough, I don't see a single result that's come through in Tier 1 Pool 2.
Nope.
So unfortunately, we have nothing to talk about. But on the other side of the break, Tier 2 is already looking pretty spicy.
Absolutely. And we are going to take that short break. The next series at the top of the hour is going to be an SEL Classic. The UGA Bulldogs versus the Kentucky Wildcats. A rivalry as old as time. So make sure you stick around for that. The SEL will be back after this short break. Welcome back to opening night of the Southeastern Esports League's Season 5 Spring Splits. We saw a 3-1 Florida Southern College win against the Auburn Tigers in Tier 1, but now we're moving down just a little bit into Tier 2, TJ, to watch your current school. I almost said alma mater because it feels like you've kind of moved on from UGA, but I know your heart still pulls for the Bulldogs.
No matter where I go, I'm always going to be a dog fan. I'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. But either way, at the game at hand with Kentucky UGA, you already set it up beautifully. It's a rivalry as old as time. In Rocket League, there has been some very, very good games. I mean, in my freshman year here at UGA, I remember playing Ty, Apples, and I can't even remember who the third is, but I remember playing them in a 5-game series in losers bracket of SCL of old. And a great, great series. Playing Kentucky on LAN. I got a lot of love for Chipmunk, a lot of love for Apples and HUDs. Now, but granted, though, it's a newer Kentucky roster, and they have a new third, but so does UGA with a new second and third. So a lot to be determined here.
Definitely new look versions of old school SEL teams, and I'm glad to see it. I think this is going to be a fun Tier 2 matchup. I don't think it will be the highest quality Rocket League we will get in the SEL all season, but it'll be exciting. And this is a big match because this Pool 4 that you pulled out of your hat, TJ, is very competitive when it comes to pretty much all the top 4 spots, with UGA and Kentucky fighting Clemson Purple, FAU, who look decent, but I have no idea who's coming out of that group alive.
I would say it's the second hardest group easily, because in both Pool 3 and Pool 4, you really don't know who the top 5 is going to be. And I think these two teams, I think unironically this game could determine who maybe plays for the top 2 and who's fighting for that 4 to 5 spot. I really don't know, but there's only one way to tell. UGA, the University of Kentucky, Game 1.
Both these teams are undefeated so far this season. UGA handled business against Clemson B, which I think is a decent win in this group, and Kentucky dominated UTK. I always forget which one Gray is. That's the C team or the D team. But they 3-0'd them, so good start for both of these squads. One lost game between the two of them, and now they face off to, like you said, put the right foot forward when it comes to maybe securing a top 4 spot out of this group. But 30 seconds in, it's all Kentucky. UGA got to be careful.
As much as I want to be biased, I also have to lay out what's at stake and what's here on paper. I have to be honest. If you look at the ranks, if you look at the performances, you look at the competitive history, Kentucky's got the edge here. Bombus is a super solid 2s and 3s player. I believe actually a 1s main who has reached SSL. I could be wrong, but either way, I know that Bombus is a super high-level 1s player. And then obviously Chipmunk has experience on and off land representing Kentucky. You got HUDs, who's been a mechanical mastermind at many of his performances online and offline. But then when you look at UGA, Mir's got little LAN experience and little comp experience. I believe last semester had made his A-team debut. Coop made his A-team debut about 2 semesters ago. And then Lunetta, brand new to UGA. But so far, things extremely balanced. Now about a 1v1, it's going to be Coop versus HUDs, and it will be saved away by Bombist.
I'm happy to learn about the Bombist. Watched a little bit of his play in the fall, and right now he's looking very mechanical, but he stepped into this roster to fill the shoes of unfriable Apples, an SEL Hall of Famer. And Apples, I mean, throughout his storied career, was the leader on this Kentucky team. And then Chip has kind of filled those shoes as well, so I guess it's joint filling of the shoes on this Kentucky team. But Bombist came in and I think has filled Apple's role fairly well. Maybe not exactly like when you compare how they play on their teams filling that role, but as a player that took his spots, he's helped Kentucky stay at a similar level.
I would even argue that on paper, he might even be able to fill bigger shoes than what some of the Kentucky players of old have been able to fill. But one thing's for certain is, yes, UGA's on the back foot, but wow, look at the saves coming through. We're halfway through Game 1, but Kentucky knocking on the door only.
And we did watch, you and I, TJ, a week ago, UGA play the Clemson A team on Monday Night Lights. It was a 4-0 for Clemson. UGA were getting reps in with Lunetta coming in as the new third, but their backline defense at times was so impressive, stopping everything was that Clemson was throwing their way. And right here, that is what's keeping this game manageable right now, because field domination is handily on the side of Kentucky. It's 75-25 right now. That's how much time we've spent on the UGA end of the field, but it's still 0-0, and that's a position UGA can work from.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest. I've been spending some time working with this team, trying to coach them up a little bit, and there's one thing that we talked about a decent amount. I can't reveal any secrets, but the mental side of this game is something that I've been trying to really instill in the next generation of UGA Rocket League, and so far, so good, but finally Kentucky strikes with 90 to go.
And it's the Chipmunk man, I guess not new captain of Kentucky Rocket League. And actually, I don't know if he is the captain. Huds might be as well. He's a veteran, so I'm not going to comment on who the captain is. Either way, Chip has stepped up big time, and I know he can be a leader on this team. And right there, grabs the opening goal for Kentucky after an avalanche of pressure to open up game one, and that is a big first blood goal.
See if Coop can find some room. Or I guess I should probably be going by KT since that's what he is on screen. So KT finding Lunetta on the left side, who actually does find a pass middle, but just a slight beat that will open up the door for Mir to maybe find something in the middle. But for his sake, it'll be Lunetta who has to be the one to make a touch. How about the Bombus with a backboard to Reed? He will drop it top bar, top bends and down. That's the type of takeover you can have.
So that's the kind of series we're playing here. The Bombus has stepped up for Kentucky. Was running up against the brick wall of a UGA defense for a while there, but finally found a moment to steal the spotlight. And a 2-goal lead heading into the final minute with how this game has gone has got to have Kentucky feeling good.
UGA slowly settling in on their own wall, but they've already given up 2 goals, so you got to find something quick. Coop with an empty jump, or sorry, KT with an empty jump. Trying to find something towards the orange side, or I guess the blue side for all the people watching on stream. It'll be Kentucky, though, who's very in control these last 40 seconds so far, not giving up too much space in the midfield. May even find one more as Huds will look for his first, but nothing yet. Chipmunk in an awkward spot. It's going to leave Bombus all by themselves, but as that happens, it actually might be a counter. Mirrored on his back foot, has to kick it out. Chip is there. Can he find one more? Falling down to his hood, but nothing's there. But UGA all on their back foot. Not a single shot coming through. 30 seconds left. Pre-jump Bombus, top left, and almost his own goal. But for now, it's a great save. Make it 2. Actually, a very close 2. And UGA might have a chance here if they can get something going. 10 seconds left. Coop's got to score this one. A fake, and it will not be anything. Kentucky, in the dying moments, a very strong performance. Will bump each other out of a third. Finally, it's the ground, and a pretty chaotic first game.
It was a pretty chaotic first game, but all of the chaos was concentrated on the UGA half of play. We spent 75% of those 5 minutes on the Georgia half, and I mean, that's not a recipe for success in any series. They got just 3 shots compared to Kentucky's 10, and possession was against them. The boost game was against them. I think everything was against the Bulldogs of Georgia. And for Kentucky, they could just keep playing their game. If they're going to get chance after chance to generate high-quality looks on that UGA goal line, and this series could be over quick if we see a repeat of Game 1 here a couple of times in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest. I've got to see more from everybody out of UGA because, again, when you look at Kentucky, again, just on ranks alone, there's a lot of ground and a lot of experience has to be made up. Now, granted, I'm not upset with what I'm seeing. The UGA defense is pretty solid, but it's not about how is it in Game 1. It's about how is it across an entire series. So I don't know how this new look UGA can take here in their debut as a their debut as a roster of 3 in the SCL specifically. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to look, but regardless, let's see what Game 2's got in store as we hit Forbidden Temple.
And as we do jump on to Forbidden Temple, I want to point out real quick a cool statistical anomaly-ish. I said the stat wrong that I had about Auburn at the end of the series, and that was, I said, they were 22-22 now in groups all-time. That is actually their A team is 22-22 now all-time in just series in the SCL in general. But 2 teams that are actually 22-21 in groups all-time heading into tonight are Montevallo and UGA. Whatever that means, they have the exact same groups record. heading into the SEL tonight. And UGA got a win, so they're no longer potentially battling to avoid being 500. They're now 23-21 all time. But I thought that was an odd thing that I needed to share on stream.
Oh, and they're just going to shove it to the side. I was going to make a point that Tier 1 UGA last season was definitely the reason why that record is as bad as it is, because I like to think that we actually had some nice winning seasons as a group before things got a little rough. But you know what? Throw it away, because UGA takes the lead here in Game 2.
All right. Maybe they can find a 24th win all-time in the SEL here. Lunetta, flip reset at the midfield line is completely shut down by the Bombers. A nice challenge there to get Kentucky rolling again in offense, but UGA look a lot better so far in Game 2. Obviously, scoring a goal early on is an indicator of that, but they're holding on a possession well in the Kentucky end, and Kentucky's struggling a little bit to find themselves transitions into offense. And Koopa Troopa is feeling confident going after a ball like that and using up the last quarter of his tank.
Coop, the only remaining member from the previous UGA roster that did make that Tier 1 run, and I would expect him to be the most impressive player on this UGA roster every single night, and that almost was a crazy pre-jump that he had, but so far, he's trying to control the back corner here. He's going to leave the Bombers with a little bit too much room. This one goes up top. A player is bumped out. 2 players are bumped out. This one's down to Chip, but Mir, what a save, and now Huds will try and go again, but with no boost, UGA gets another free clear. It goes right to the Bombers, though, but it's a miss. So here comes Coop trying to beat Chipmunk, or KT, sorry, I keep doing that. Mir now will look for maybe even the backboard. UGA a missed chance. Here comes KT looking back towards the net, and look at the new leaf being turned over in front of our eyes here. But as I say that, Kentucky finally takes control.
Hey, you called it after I was talking about UGA, maybe repeating their Game 1 performance and coming up flat in this best of 5. Game 2 is a fresh scoreboard, fresh 5 minutes for the Bulldogs, and that's being reflected in their gameplay right now. Possession is already a lot better. It's 50-50 instead of 75-25, and Kentucky's having to battle for every single challenge right there. Coop isn't allowing any kind of easy ball for the Wildcats to move into offense with. And here, Mir pumps Chip. It's very chippy across the field at the moment. Both teams are scrapping for every little second spent on the ball.
2 minutes to go and still plenty of Rocket League left. Lunetta in a very awkward spot. The Bombers may find a shot here. It's actually a fake. Chip goes over. It'll be mirrored on his ceiling. Can't find it, and Kentucky sends 3 forward and ties this game up.
They were going to get one eventually. They're too good a team, even with the chippy UGA style in Game 2, not to score on Forbidden Temple. And it's simple. They just wore down Georgia's back line right there and execute on the shot. Nicely done. Kentucky find theirs, and we're shaping up for a final 2 minutes that's getting kind of exciting here.
Well, either way, again, 2 minutes is still a lot of time for things to happen, including some very awkward UGA defensive interactions, but instead, 2 players will go away from Kentucky after a solid play out from Lunetta. But as I say that, the net might just be wide open, and I'm not sure where was KT here.
He was first man, got beat over the top by Chip, and then Mir gets beat by Huds. Lunetta's late to rotate back, and that was just 3 consecutive clean 50-50 wins for Kentucky. And that is all it takes sometimes with the margins we're playing with in the SEL.
Well, again, now with 3 goals scored in the last minute or so, still plenty of time for maybe Kentucky to find a bigger lead, or maybe UGA to maybe bring us to our first overtime of SEL, at least on stream. We'll see, though, what's going to happen. 90 seconds to go. UGA does have control here in the blue Kentucky half. Nothing's going to come of it yet, though, and as I say that, Mir may be able to find a bump. Huds with no boost. Trying to make sure that this for full control. KT's got a chance, goes backboard. All 3 members of Kentucky jump, and it comes down to the 3rd man, the Bombers, to come in and clutch up, who may just find the open net. It's a 1v3 for him, and it's a huge win.
All right, I'm starting to become a Bombers truther here. This is a much better look for the Bombers relative to the fall. When I watch Kentucky play, he seems to have improved a lot since the first split of this SEL Season 5, and has stepped up big time here in Game 2, as that's a lot of space gained. And he turned it into a goal, but even then it would have been stiff pressure against that UGA back line that the Bombers would have set up with all that space gained to the midfield line.
Once again, the bomb
Here we
has
go.
just been the rock for Kentucky that they maybe didn't know they needed, and that's a very close own goal, and it won't even matter as HUD's actually may just open up the lane. UGA's got a chance. It will sit in the middle. Is there another 50? The net will sit with one player left. KT on the net. It's off. It's in. And with 30 seconds left, this right here is peak UGA Kentucky ball.
Yep, that's the kind of thing you get in Tier 2 of the SCL. Even Tier 1, sometimes that entire play was insanity. HUD's own saved a shot right there that has now given UGA life as they turn the play on its head and cut this game to a 1-goal deficit. Kentucky have 3. They've still got a lead, but the Bulldogs are knocking on that Wildcat door.
Wait a minute, this might be a chance if Lunetta can tap it down, but 2 players are there. KT's got to click it back up. Mirrored is there. He fakes for Lunetta. Lunetta looks bottom left! And UGA somehow ties it up with a driller from Lunetta.
No way! What? How has UGA come back from a game like this? It started out well for the Bulldogs. They got that opening goal, but then Kentucky found an offensive rhythm. They found a way to avoid UGA players in the midfield line. And then all of a sudden, HUD's blocks what would have been a 4-1 securing goal. And then 20 seconds later, we want to go to overtime here, but we have to get there first. On 0 seconds, the ball will stay up before HUD's lets it drop. And this is an all-important next goal.
I couldn't tell you how we're here, Bebek, but we've got overtime in a crucial game 2, and it will be KT finding an initial demo, but they've got to watch out. Here comes the chance from Bombas, and it almost pinches in, but HUD's is gone on the other side. It's in front of the net, and it's in! Kentucky, what in the world has happened? It's a complete disaster class from HUD's in front of the net, and UGA gets gifted a game.
You know it's crazy when TJ is hitting decibels you didn't know were possible for a human to reach. UGA just stole game 2. And right there, I can't even fault HUD's completely for letting that ball in. Yes, it was awkward. Yes, he made a meal of it. But he was just trying to get boost. And his teammates dropped that ball at Mird's doorstep for him to put on target. Kentucky just threw that game 2 away. That's unbelievable.
Look, I have to be honest. I don't think any other team in all of the SEL can have me reacting the way that a late UGA 3-goal comeback does. So without further ado, we take what we can get. Maybe the bias will start to show a little bit. But again, I have to reset because the Bombers had control of the entire pitch for, I would say, maybe 80% of that entire game, and if he can continue to do what he's done in games 1 and 2, I don't know if UGA can survive much longer, but you take what you can get for now.
Kentucky absolutely did dominate like the middle 2 minutes of that game, and that's where they got themselves that lead. The start was scrappy, and the end shall never be talked about again, but the middle part of that game was very good for the Wildcats, and a sign of the team that they can be that I think would sweep this UGA roster, but consistency is never something easily achieved in the SCL, and so we're heading to Driftwoods. Game 3, all knotted up. Here we go again.
Well, Kentucky might start it out early here as UGA 6 seconds in. No momentum will carry over after an extremely awkward interaction from Lunetta, but a great bump play from Chipmunk.
Yeah, clean chip as well. HUD's got that over the last man nicely, and Kentucky don't seem too phased. They executed on all cylinders there in the first 7 seconds of Game 3, so maybe all is well for the Wildcats at the moment.
That's a very solid shot from HUD's, but KT was there waiting for it to come straight to his hood. It will be Lunetta, though, to take his spot as Mirror almost finds the redirect! Oh my goodness! Where does that come from?
Out of nowhere, Mirror is upfield trying to chase the Bombers, has to veer off because he's not going to catch him, and then turns what is a failed first plan A into a successful plan B. 1-1, UGA are out here fighting like their lives depend on it.
Tie game, 30 seconds in. All the mistakes for UGA. Already you kind of got mute, but that right there is a crucial double commit that may open up a lane for Huds to find a redirect. It will go straight to Mirrored, but Huds still very much in control. Beats another UGA player. Beats another one as well. Will be a very awkward play, but KT will take possession. Will beat the first player, but won't be able to follow, and it'll be up to the Bombers, who once again takes full control and will reset for the Wildcats.
Minute in, and Game 3 has already carried over the insanity that was Game 2. And we might see some more here as Koopa Troopa and Lunetta are both up for that ball, but no harm done. Kentucky find a way out. Mirrod's back, and we'll settle in now to maybe some Kentucky offense, or maybe the Bombers just wants to gift another goal to UGA. 2-1 Bulldogs.
I mean, again, like you mentioned, there is nothing about these two teams that has ever been consistent, no matter who the roster is. And UGA gets gifted another one there. So they'll hold the lead for now, but we know what happens when the 2-1 lead was on the table for the last game. A lot can still happen, like an easy tying goal for the Bombers. He's a ones man, can't give him that much space.
That is a lot of net to shoot at in a very tiny car that Mirrored is driving. Good attempt at covering the entire goal, but the Bombers eats that play up. 2-2 again, and Kentucky, to their credit, when they have these moments of embarrassment, I think, on the SEL mainstream, they recover from them nicely.
Well, either way, you have to be able, from both sides of the pitch, you have to be able to reset and take this series one game at a time. And what a crazy clip that was from Bombers to find the redirect off the reset. But either way, the game's tied. So there's not a lot at stake right now. The series is tied. The game is tied. Overall, you've got to take it one goal at a time. And Kentucky, so far, finding plenty of possession. But as that happens, Huds will give it away. So it'll be up to Mirrored, who has no boost, to maybe flick it over one. Instead, it's Lunetta by themselves. Has to watch out for the bump. Chipmunk, though, can't find it. Bombers finally will. And the Rock of Kentucky continues to deliver.
The Bombers really has been a great bright spot for Kentucky. There have been mistakes, yes, but I don't think anybody else on the field right now is hitting their shots at a consistent level like the Bombers is. Even right there, up in the air, had to slam that shot on a defended net, and it's the mark, giving Kentucky an important lead, but Huds is still looking for more here, and stuck to the near side by Mirrored. And Chip at the sideline just shifties that ball, keeps it in play, and we'll fight in this UGA corner.
Halfway through a critical game 3 that obviously with the best of 5 format here in group play, it's obviously going to put the team on match point. And if UGA loses it, then it's going to be a convincing match point, as Kentucky's been the team in control and they continue to show it off. And I'm not sure where Lunetta went here.
Can't believe that was on target from Chip. I mean, I don't think Lunetta's expecting that to be a shot that is slotted between them and the near side post, because Chip kind of stole that ball from the challenging defender, and those are the kinds of goals that Chip scores. It's just out of nowhere. He'll put a shot on target that the defense is not expecting, and it's a big goal for Kentucky because 2-goal leads are typically nice to have in hand. We didn't see Kentucky take advantage of their 2-goal lead on Forbidden Temple, but having another one, I don't think they'll scoff at.
2-goal deficit for UGA. In game 1, it was too much to try and come back from, and in game 2, obviously, maybe there was an external being in hand at that one, but for the time being, this is UGA's first true test of mechanical and mental kind of bouncing back, as this one might just be another Kentucky goal. It's way too open, way too easy, and the Bombers let it bounce once, but it didn't matter. It's a 3-goal lead now.
Mirrored is just interfered with enough right there as the last man back for UGA to really do anything to stop that play. And now, hopefully, this kind of lead heading into the final 90 seconds of Game 3 should be safe for Kentucky. Again, they've played a great mid-game. The early game, again, was back and forth. UGA looked solid, but as we settled into the game on Driftwoods, Kentucky found a groove. They found openings, and fortunately, they found a removal of that ball from their goal line with no UGA players there to score.
UGA is finding some small breaths of life, but it might be too late, as that one probably should have been a goal as well. It's 2 UGA shots in a row. How about one more?
Okay.
All 3 people in the area will miss, and once again, it's the Bombers who has to come in and make a saving grace play for Kentucky. But Mir will try and get UGA going. Maybe one more final strong time to get something moving, but instead, the Kentucky passing lanes are slowly starting to open up. It will potentially be a shot for Mir. Another redirect top right. This time it's off, and Lunetta down 3 doesn't go. And now Huds has the full boost, looks to continue to stall out. A solid first touch over 1. Mirrored is awkward. All 3 members of Kentucky go. The net's wide open. Lunetta, is that going to be off? It's going to be close, and it's in. And UGA's got a slight breath of fresh air.
All right. There's no way, right? I've watched a lot of SEL Rocket League. I probably should see a way for UGA to come back here, but Kentucky has just had another critical mistake on the UGA goal line turn into a Bulldogs goal, and Coop has almost found a 4th right there, and at the very least set up Lunetta with some space off the Kentucky sidewall. It's a pass to Meard. Meard will be able to beat the last man of the Wildcats, and with 30 seconds left, will slow down.
KT had a chance to put it middle there. Actually, still will if he can tap it over. Lunetta's there, but nothing will fall through. It might be mirrored for a redirect. Bottom corner, it's off. Another UGA chance falls away, and Kentucky will now have the chance to put the dagger in right here, right now. Bomb is over to a teammate. It'll be Huds diving in, and with 10 seconds left, UGA has to find something right now. Huds redirect, I think, will stall that out, and with 3 seconds left, the clock will hit 0, and Kentucky, in what was a little scary at the end, survive and will push it to match point on game 4.
And it is absurd that these games are as nail-biting as they are when you look at the shot totals this series, because in the 2 games Kentucky's won, they've outshot UGA 23-7, and in the 1 game UGA won, Kentucky still outshot them 12-8, which is much better when you look at the other 2 games, but still, Kentucky looks like the better team for pretty much the majority of this series, but UGA are finding ways to stay relevant, and that is what you have to do if you want to stay relevant in the SEL, especially in a group like Group 4 in Tier 2. You need to stay competitive in all your games, and that's what UGA is doing right now, despite the Kentucky wins.
It feels eerily similar to Florida Southern and Auburn. Now, granted, I think both these teams are on a more level playing field, but to Astro to Florida Southern is the Bombers to Kentucky. The new face has been, and I keep saying a rock, he's been more than that. He's been a boulder for them. He's been immovable. He's been unfakeable. He goes 3 for 6 in this last game. He's leading the team, and I believe most of the stats. He has been the main needle mover for this Kentucky Wildcats roster, and UGA has got to slow him down. They've got to win the 1v1s, even though we are talking about an SSL 1's main. It is the regular season. You've got no choice. Your backs are against the wall. What can you do to stop him?
He is leading Kentucky in goals scored. He's shooting 33%, 5 for 15 across the first 3 games, but saves and assists. Huds and Chip are keeping pace with him. I believe everyone has 2 assists, actually, or 2 saves, rather, on the Kentucky side. And then in the assist category, Huds has 3, and Chip and Bombas 2. So, spreading the love for the most part outside of goals being scored. That is the Bombas department at the moment, but Chip had a go at the doink right there. Is unable to find an early goal for Kentucky, and UGA, again, will start off the game looking solid. How did Chip save that?
It gets tapped off of 2 players on opposing teams, and it will find Chip somehow. UGA has started this game again wonderfully on offense with 3 golden opportunities, but none of them come through. So credit to the Wildcat defense, as they have been great, similar to their basketball counterparts as of most recent. I mean, and maybe a slam dunk is in order here for Game 4.
Let's see. Let's see what Game 4 has in store for us, because I can't say I could have predicted any part of this series prior to us getting underway here in the Tier 2 matchup of the night. But right now, Huds is playing that ball to nobody, cutting the Bombist off, but the Bombist does catch back up to the ball. UGA couldn't take advantage of that errant Huds touch, and so he's back into the corner trying to cause havoc in the Bulldogs' end, but nothing given. Nothing given on the UGA side. A 3-man passing play is sending the ball every which way. Chip's going backboard, but UGA don't blink.
I mean, that was a great three-man passing play. Potentially even a fourth pass was in order there, but Kentucky, even though that confidence in the UGA half has remained, they aren't able to find it, but Huds with the double tap dead center. It drops a little too slow and a little too vertical, and it almost opens up a lane for Chipmunk to come through, but now Huds has full boost, fakes out one, looks for the other corner, Musty bumps a player! Huds, 1, 2, and 3!
That's the signature Huds move. You got no idea where he's going until he has set up a Kentucky goal. Beautiful solo effort, and Huds has stepped up big time to give Kentucky the early advantage in Game 4 and a closeout game for the Wildcats. And here he is again, applying pressure to the UGA goal line, but Meard is there for a save. The ball finds Lunetta down the field, who connects with Koopa Troopa, forcing a whiff out of his chip, but he recovers. Can't grab the midfield 100, but as a teammate mid, Lunetta, though, snuffs out that passing play before it gets too dangerous.
That was a 3v1 for Kentucky. I thought for certain that was going to be a goal, as it has been mostly all night. Even the 1v1s for Bombas have found the back of the UGA net, but UGA surviving here, not really too concerned about match point, and it will be KT to find a touch up high. We'll see if Huds and Bombas can combine for something to Chipmunk, but Chipmunk on his back foot actually gives it away. Net might be open, but Huds is there to cover. A weak shot from Meard will be too easy, and now it'll be up to Lunetta with no boost to find at least some form of possession, but Bombas is already up. Looks middle. KT will throw it away, and once again, UGA struggling until KT finds a lane. That net might be open. It is, and he'll have to go middle, and a golden chance again for UGA falls away.
I don't know if Coop had enough boost to catch back up to that ball, but still, it was an open opportunity. Kentucky is leaving their net exposed at times, and Meard is trying to force more exposure, but that's really good defense considering the unexpected last touch Meard got on that ball. At least unexpected with how much power was on it, but here's a great passing play, setting up an open-ish net. Lunetta made a play on it, centered it, but there was no one there to shoot, and UGA in the final 90 seconds are giving themselves chances to stay in a good position to force Game 5.
Lunetta air dribble blocked away by Huds. It'll be up to KT to go back on the net, but Huds once again, no mistakes this time, and the bomb is a dagger goal will fall away from his side of things. It'll fall back to Huds, who's stumped by Meard, and it'll be up to Bombas to stall once again. KT waiting in the wings is able to force out a play from Bombas. Lunetta, backboard, open net, KT will tie it!
60 seconds to go, and Georgia remains scrappy. Kentucky can find leads, but it's so hard to hold them in the business end of these games, apparently. That's 2 games now out of 3, I believe, where Kentucky has found themselves a decent lead heading into the final 90 seconds and then lost it. We know what happened in Game 2, but Kentucky can still salvage Game 4. The Bombast is there, set up by Chip to put the Wildcats back out in front.
A touch that cannot happen. It doesn't stick to the wall. It doesn't stick to the corner. It sits right in front of the net. And for UGA in a crucial series-ending game potentially here, cannot let that happen. Under 60 to go. Is there any tricks up the sleeves of UGA? And Kentucky goes 3 up and 3 down. What in the world was the call here?
Well, Coops, he just hits the ball. And Kentucky sent everyone to the ball, and no one hit it. They need to hit the books when it comes to the kickoff strats, because that is an abysmal time to set something up that flops as badly as that one did.
They might get the chance to come back from it, though, as Chipmunk has room. He's going to look for the top ends! And Bombas finds the bump. It's a wide open net for Chip.
He's not the most mechanical player on this Kentucky team, but that was a huge time to glue his Fennec to the ball. Off the side wall, he more than makes up for the kickoff flop that Kentucky employed a second ago. And Kentucky will not let UGA back into this thing. Chip scored again, 4-2.
I didn't even get to see what happened because my director cam bugged, and it looks like that. I think there was a demo on KT, I think. I don't know, but nobody's there. And just like that, it's a freebie. It's a freebie for Kentucky. And now, once again, we're in a last-minute game scenario. 2-goal lead. Will UGA be able to find something in such a short time frame, or will Huds end it right here? Chipmunk bottom corner! The dagger will come through for the time being.
Well, we've talked a lot about the Bombus this series. Huds as well for his mechanical outplays, but Chip stepped up in crunch time, and he's calling out in chat. I know stream can't see it. He says, I better see that in hashtag clips. So, Sarah, Chip's requesting you clip that one right there. 30 seconds left. He's strung together a hat trick in the final minute of a closeout game for Kentucky to start their season off potentially 2-0. But KT has something to say about that.
Bebek, don't play on my heartstrings, man. I can't take this. I know I'm not playing for UG anymore, but I'm very much invested in this team. And I can't see this come down to the wire and see UGA miss another shot. But we'll see, is there another kickoff strat that comes through. It'll be a double for Kentucky. That it'll actually will be faked away. So now Lunetta's got a chance, a free possession, a double tap, maybe down to somebody, but it's a miss. And now there's got to be a chance here. Kentucky might just find one more for show, but again, UGA stuck in their own half. The clock strikes 0, and through all the antics, through all the heroics, the Wildcats will claw their way out of what was maybe one of the craziest opening series in the league's history.
Well, that's saying something, too. We've had some insane opening sets on night 1 of the SCL mainstream, and that one is up there, absolutely. But Kentucky, despite the chaos that Georgia put them through, find a way to get a win, and they are one of the favorites. I think they were top 10, and I believe most of the power ranking committees tier 2 power rankings today, and for good reason. That team has so much firepower, and they don't always rotate the prettiest or look like they're on the same page, but good grief, all 3 of them can step up and 1v3 a defense.
I mean, given how crazy that series was, given an overtime being involved, you can't ask for much more.
Yeah.
You get a four-game series win, and overall, given how crazy that series was, again, you can't ask for anything else. You're probably lucky to make it out of there without going to some crazy Game 4 overtime or even Game 3, which could have gone to the last second there. But regardless, Kentucky fought through 2 late UGA game swings in 3 and 4, handled business, get out of here with a crucial win into their chances of making LCQ.
And we're looking at the final game results on stream right now. A lot of goals scored right there. 16 goals combined, actually 23 combined if we look at the last 3 games of that set, which there wasn't a ton of defense at times on the field, but when there was, it was still insanity. But TJ, I want to look at results before we do close out the stream, and we can stick in tier 2 here, see if there's anything crazy. I know that set was wild enough, so we couldn't keep our eye on League OS while we were casting. But has anything wild happened? I'm looking at the groups right now. It doesn't appear like we've got many crazy series, maybe outside of Auburn Orange, or Auburn B rather, taking Kentucky C to Game 5 and escaping somehow.
I would argue the other way around. I would say Kentucky C taking Auburn B to Game 5 and surviving. That was absurd. I didn't see anything else crazy. King did beat ECU in Tier 2 Pool 1, which I think that was the most expected result, and those were the easy top 2 seeds. So we did see ECU have a great start. King had a great start. Both went 3-0, but overall, King gets the benefit of the doubt against ECU, and that will probably, I hate saying this, but King's a solid enough team that I think that's probably going to lock them in as the 1 or the 2 seed, without a doubt in my mind. The University of Texas Arlington's B team beat Arkansas Little Rock. So Pool 2 has had 2 Game 5s within the first 4 games in their group. So chaos in Tier 2 down there, and then I haven't seen anything else too crazy yet.
No, up in Tier 1, I mean, still very few results in Group 2. JMU 3-0'd Florida Southern after FSC got their opening win, and then Auburn got swept by Texas Tech. So the Tigers are not starting off their Tier 1 campaign on the right foot. They'll have to look to future weeks of group play to recover. And then over in Group 1, I'll have to navigate there, actually. I clicked off of it by accident. TJ, you seen anything?
No, I mean, Tier 1, Pool 1, everything looks as normal. Actually, I take that back. USC beats Bama in 4. In my opinion, I think that's unexpected. I think we might have seen... I think given the tier assignment results, I think Bama should have won in 5. But either way, I was expecting that to not be a sweep for sure. But for USC taking a great win over Bama, that's actually pretty big for their seeding if they don't make that top 4. But who knows what they could pull together on Cat's final season.
I mean, if you look at results outside of tier assignment, since TA was just one night of play, I think that makes sense because South Carolina has looked solid so far, and Alabama, I mean, they'll go from a tier assignment performance to getting nearly perfect swept by Northern Arizona and CCS, and that's how Alabama plays. And I mean, actually, King's kind of in a similar boat where outside the SEL, they beat Lubbock Christian in the CECC Southern Regional, and that teased them up, I think, to make a Tier 1 run. They're looking great in scrims, and then they lose to Alabama, and I forget their best of 5 loss. That was a bit shocking. Are you UT Dallas, I think. And it's confusing to me.
All right, can I give you a surprising result?
Go for it.
Bama, ETSU, 3-0 Alabama.
See what I mean? See what I mean?
3-0 Alabama, which that right there shakes up the top 4 of that group heavy. That's a huge win for Alabama. They're probably one good win over Bruton Parker Academy or USC. Well, they already lost to USC. Probably one good win over Bruton Parker Academy or maybe even an upset over Florida from being locked in to maybe even top 3. Who knows? But that is a wild, wild result. And production's given us a great stat as well. Bama has 3-0'd ETSU twice this season already.
And, I mean, Skyline did say he's got the flu today, so no flu game out of the ETSU boys. And that really does shake up that Pool 1, because ETSU was a team that I figured wouldn't have too big of an issue making top 4, but losing to Bama means they now don't have much wiggle room when it comes to series against Florida, BPC Academy, and apparently George Mason Academy, who's one of the best teams in the SEL, taking a game off of Cumberland there in that set. But apparently playing on Xbox gives you a buff, and that's what Kevin of GMU Academy is feeling in the SEL so far this split. And wow, yeah, I mean, opening night of the SEL, TJ, does not disappoint.
Well, I unfortunately have to say that GMU Academy's reign as one of the best teams did end very shortly.
Hold on.
Bruton Parker 3-0'd them. It was 5-2, 2-1, 4-2. So, had to get that in before we wrap up show for the night. Bruton Parker Academy versus the other Academy team in their group makes it look easy. Another team that we are so excited to see how they pan out, including really every top 4 contending team in every part of the SCL. There's so many storylines, so many new players, new faces, new rosters, B and C teams upsetting A teams. I mean, Blake, Bepic, wow. We get it all. We absolutely get it all.
It feels so good to be back in the SEL booth. I know I was there for LAN last season, and I was there for 1 or 2 nights of the regular season as well, but I seriously did miss this. This is my favorite league to cast for by far. I think the Georgia-Kentucky series showed you exactly why, and this spring semester is probably going to be one of the best Collegiate Rocket League seasons, I think, of all time. Like across the board, not just SEL, but across the board. There are so many leagues to look at and find entertainment in. The SEL is up there with the best of them, and we are shaping up for a wonderful Path to LAN in Huntsville. Do we have to plug anything before we go? I'm trying to think. We stay to the SEL next Tuesday, 6 Eastern Time, 5 Central. We'll break down results from this week. That's probably it, TJ.
There's CRL this Valentine's Day weekend, but I have Valentine's Day plans, so I won't even get to see the SEL teams get to make a run on Saturday. If anybody somehow makes it to Sunday, I'll get to see them then. But we'll see how all these new rosters, after finally getting scrims and practices back up, will compete in the greater scheme of things. Maybe even run into each other down there. Who knows? It should be a great, great start to the Collegiate Rocket League season as a whole.
All right, Sarah wants me to plug the TikTok, so go on TikTok. You can again. It's Esports SCL on TikTok, I believe. If it's not, Sarah will yell at me in Twitch chat with the correct handle. So go follow SCL on TikTok. I don't know what we post on there, actually. I don't have TikTok, but whatever it is, I know Sarah posts bangers and bangers only. So it's a great platform to follow us on. Esports SCL on all platforms, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever it is. TJ, final words now that we've gotten the plugs in.
No, I mean, just super, super excited to be back. I mean, obviously, This is my second full season being involved as an SCL co-host alongside you. The fall was a mess as is, with enough upsets and crazy storylines, and it's nice to have you back so that when I watch my own UGA team go through one of the craziest series I think the program's history's ever had, I can at least throw it back to you and kind of have things balance out. So either way, super, super blessed to be here, super blessed to be here for another SCL season, and just really excited to see where we're going to end up when we get to May.
All right, everyone, we're ending stream. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for supplying us with plenty of SCL chaos, as always. We'll see you next week for week 2, and maybe some streams sprinkled out through the end of this week, but off the main channel. So make sure you stay tuned. Follow me and TJ. Our tags are up above our heads, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.